64%. That's the share of adults who said they could cover a $400 surprise expense using cash, or something basically like cash. No scrambling, no panic, just handled. And that number barely moved in 2024. Now here's the uncomfortable question. If a $400 hit can still knock people over, what do you think a whole year of small leaks does to your future? Because beginners don't fail from one giant mistake. That keep resetting the snowball back to zero. And 2026 is a year where that gets punished harder. Prices don't have to explode to break you. Is stay annoying. Week after week, month after month. So if you've ever said, I'll start when life calms down, you're not lazy. You're human. You just don't have a system that keeps pushing when your mood doesn't. And that's where the 7 wealth snowballs come in. Not 7 go become rich fantasies. You can start small this year and let them stack. Let me introduce you to Harry. Harry works hotel front desk, evening shift. Lots of check-ins, lost key cards, people arguing about parking fees, and that one guest who swears the room was cheaper online. He gets paid every other Friday. After taxes, his take-home averages $3,271 per month. He rents a converted basement unit that sounds cheaper than it feels. His rent and utilities come to $1,319. He's got a car payment of $311. Insurance is $177. His phone is $71. Groceries swing, but he tries to keep it around $309. And he's got a credit card balance left over from a winter tire emergency, $2,113. So he's not broke. But he's in that annoying zone where you can't get ahead, because every time you try, life taps you on the shoulder. And Harry's big problem isn't math. It's that his money decisions happen when he's tired. So he does something that sounds almost too simple, and starts trying to be default. Ramit Sethi says it straight in, I will teach you to be rich. Build a system so you don't rely on willpower. Harry hears that and thinks, yeah, nice idea. But what does that look like when your shift ends at midnight and you're eating cereal for dinner? So he runs an experiment. 7 snowballs. 1 year. Small starts. And he makes one rule, or it doesn't count. Ready? Good. Adi's Snowball 1 is the 400 shield. Not a huge emergency fund, not some heroic goal. Just a shield that prevents the most common kind of damage. Because a $400 surprise isn't rare, it's the default. So Harry does a move that's almost boring, but it works. He creates a shock list in his notes app. Not a budget. A list, tires, prescription, vet, phone screen, 1 missed shift, parking ticket, dental copay. Then he picks one number that's realistic for him. $109. Every time he pays rent, he pays the shield first, using the same motion, the same day, the same habit loop. Not a payday transfer, not some automatic magic. Rent day is the trigger. The shield is the action. It's like locking your door. You don't do it because you're motivated. You do it because it's what you do. First month, he only gets $109 into it. Second month, another $109. Then his car battery dies. $217. Old Harry would have slapped it on the card and hoped for the best. He doesn't panic. He uses the shield. He pays the battery, and he keeps going. Small win, big momentum, short sentence, huge effect. Snowball 2 is the interest eraser. This is where beginners get tricked. They think investing is step 1. But if you're paying around 21% interest on a card balance, your money is running up a moving escalator. So Harry attacks the rate, not the balance. He calls his card company on his lunch break, when the hotel is quiet and his confidence is higher. He asks for a lower rate. He asks if there's a hardship program. He asks if there's a retention offer. He asks for options. Does it always work? No. But here's why it's a snowball. The upside is huge, and the downside is basically a no. In his case, he gets offered a temporary reduction, not forever, but long enough to help. So instead of, I'll pay more when I can, he sets a rule. Every time he picks up an extra shift, that extra money doesn't disappear into random spending. It gets assigned a job before it hits his brain. Half goes to the card balance, half goes to the shield. Not fancy, just directed. Snowball 3 is the subscription squeeze. Because it doesn't feel like a money problem. It feels like life. A little music app, a little streaming, a little cloud storage, a little delivery membership, a little fitness trial that somehow became a forever bill. It's not one big charge. It's death by 1,000 tiny yeses. So Harry does a 2-minute audit that doesn't require spreadsheets. He opens his bank app. He searches the word subscription. He searches the word recurring. He scrolls 1 month. Then he uses a rule I love because it's simple. 2 stays. The rest must prove themselves. He keeps 2 subscriptions he genuinely uses. Everything else gets paused, not canceled forever. Paused. Because it doesn't trigger the same emotional resistance. He frees up $79 per month, and here's the key. He doesn't save it. He turns it into a snowball contribution by converting it into something visible. He buys 1 extra grocery staple each week, so he stops doing the "oops, I'm hungry" convenience purchases after work. That one change cuts his random food spending by about $47 per month. That's the first time he feels it, not as a number, as less chaos. Snowball 4 is the rounding upgrade. Most beginners try to save by cutting fun, because life needs joy. Harry does the opposite. He keeps the fun, but he changes the default size of the fun. Takeout. Then he sets a simple rule that adds friction. If he wants takeout, he has to pick it up. No delivery, no fees, no impulse add-ons. If he's too tired to pick it up, he's too tired to spend on it. That one rule doesn't sound like finance, but it creates a snowball because it turns random spending into intentional spending. And the first month, he saves $93 without feeling deprived. What does he do with it? He doesn't transfer it to savings on payday. He doesn't do the band move. He does something more effective for his psychology. Yes, physical, labeled "next me." Every time he avoids delivery, he puts $5, $7, or $9 in it, whatever feels fair. And by the end of the month, he opens it and sees real money staring back. That's a feedback loop you can feel in your hands. Snowball 5 is the skill tip jar. This is where 2026 gets fun. Because a lot of beginners think wealth is only about cutting spending, but cutting can only go so far. Income is a lever, and makes it small enough to start. He works front desk. He hears the same questions every week. How do I get late checkout? Where's the best cheap food? How do I not get hit with parking tickets downtown? He turns that into a tiny service. He makes a 1-page local cheat sheet for guests. Simple, clean, helpful. Then he tells his manager, if guests mention it helps, can we put a jar near the desk for the team? Not a weird ask, a small idea. It works, not every night, but enough. He averages $41 a week in tips shared with the desk team, and he makes a rule. All tip money becomes skill money. Not spending money, skill money. Something that helps him qualify for supervisor shifts. You might not work a hotel, but you do have a version of this. A skill that can make your next job easier. A certification, a tool, a license, a portfolio. The snowball is simple. Earn a little, reinvest it, increase earning power, repeat. Snowball 6 is the default raise. This is the one most people never do because it feels too grown up. And it's the one that creates the biggest quiet snowball for beginners. Harry doesn't try to invest perfectly. He tries to invest consistently. He opens his workplace retirement option. If your job has one, it's often the easiest on-ramp, but not scary. Then he sets one extra rule. Every 90 days, he increases it by 1 point. Not a giant jump, a small nudge. Because the magic isn't in the size, it's in the repeat. Because this is where the big reveal lands. Here's what surprised Harry. He thought the snowballs were separate, like 7 little projects. He realized they were multiplying each other. And this is the part most beginners miss. Your money doesn't snowball when you do one thing. It snowballs when your system reduces decisions. And energy is the real scarce resource. The Federal Reserve's own household well-being data shows a big chunk of people still can't cover a $400 surprise with cash. That's not because everyone is dumb. It's because life keeps forcing decisions. Ramit Sethi's core principle is systems beat willpower. And Harry's proof wasn't inspirational. It was numeric. By month 8, His shield had climbed back up to $373 even after the battery hit. His credit card balance was down to $1,419. His subscriptions were leaner. His food spending was calmer. His little Next Me envelope had $211 in it. His skill jar had paid for training that got him scheduled for higher responsibility shifts twice a month. The 1-point increase didn't feel like sacrifice, because the other snowballs had already created breathing room. That's the multiplier. Snowball 7 is the future-proof calendar. This is the last one, and it sounds weird, but it's beginner gold. Most people treat bills like ambushes. Harry treats bills like appointments. He builds a simple calendar rhythm. Not a Sunday review, not a budget meeting, not a spreadsheet. He just sets 3 bill checkpoints in his phone calendar tied to his actual life. 1 checkpoint right after rent clears. 1 checkpoint right after his car payment clears. 1 checkpoint right after his credit card minimum clears. Each checkpoint takes 1 minute. He looks at his balance, he asks one question. What does future me need next? That's it. Sometimes the answer is groceries. And sometimes it's topping up the shield. Sometimes it's paying a little extra on the card. He stops being surprised. He starts being early. And early is a form of wealth. Because late fees aren't just money, they're stress, they're attention. They're the feeling that you're always behind. So what happens after a full year of these 7 snowballs? Harry doesn't become a millionaire. That's not the promise. The promise is momentum. At the end of the year, he's got a shield that can actually handle problems. His high-interest debt is shrinking instead of growing. His spending is calmer. His income is nudging up. His investing is consistent. And his mind is quieter. That last part matters more than people admit. You make better decisions without trying. Now let's make this real for you. Which snowball do you start first? Ask yourself this. Now what keeps resetting you to 0? Is it surprises? Then start the 400 shield. Is it interest? Then start the interest eraser. Is it subscriptions and leaks? Then start the squeeze. Is it food and convenience spending? Then start the rounding upgrade. Is it income feeling stuck? Then start the skill tip jar. Is it investing feeling intimidating? Then start the default raise. Is it bills feeling like ambush? Then start the calendar. And here's the twist. You don't need all 7 today. You need 1 snowball that creates room for the next. Because the beginner path isn't about doing everything. It's about removing the one friction that keeps breaking your momentum. Seriously. Tonight, open your notes app. Write the word snowball. Then write 1 sentence. Fill it in. Pick the smallest start that still feels real. Not perfect, real. And tomorrow, take the 2-minute action. That's it. It doesn't need hype. It needs time. It needs fewer decisions. It needs a default. Tired, busy, and normal. You can too. You're not behind. You're just 1 system away. Start small, stay consistent, let it stack. Let it snowball.